What's up, gamers? I'm back with a couple of more VR accessories from our friends over at KIWI Design for your MetaQuest 3 and 3S. It is the K4 Boost and H4 Boost battery straps, and I can't wait to tell you how this will not just make your play sessions longer, but more comfortable as well. Let's get into it. Now, I'm not going to bore you with a long unboxing process with this, but I will say that the quality of the packaging is great and you do feel like you got a quality product. And hey, if you find this review helpful, please like and subscribe for more VR content. Now, if you've ever used the original MetaQuest 3 head strap, you know that this thing is difficult to adjust. It never quite feels like it's tight enough on your head. And if you want to share your headset with a family member or a friend, then you have to go through that whole process every time. And it's not the end of the world, but there are better solutions. So let's get to the K4 and the H4. The K stands for comfort with a K, and the H stands for halo. I believe both of these are their 4th generation, hence the 4, K4 and H4, and both of them are going to make your gaming experience so much more comfortable and so much easier to share your headset. And so even from that perspective, I think that this is worth the purchase. But not just that, this also includes a built-in battery that essentially doubles your playtime on the Quest 3 or 3S. So now instead of getting 2 hours of battery life out of your headset, you're going to get 4 to 5, and that's pretty awesome for longer gaming sessions. And that's thanks to both of these having a 5300 milliamp hour lithium battery. But what about the differences and how do you install these? Let's check it out. And one of the first things I noticed when I take this out of the box is I've already talked about the original strap. I've tried a couple of other battery straps that are like no-name brands that are a little cheaper online, but the quality here is noticeably better, particularly in the foam that's used here. A lot of the foam just like is very low quality. It falls flat really easily. This is nice foam, and the soft leather covering here, it's top notch. It's just a better quality head strap than some of the other ones that I've tried. And I've heard some people's criticism that, hey, you're paying for that name, but I'm telling you, the quality here is better. That's what you're paying for. And in my experience, and I do have experience, I already have these head straps actually, these hold up really well. I've been using these for months now and they are fantastic. Starting with the K4 Boost, but they've got this labeled in big letters. I don't know, maybe you can see that. It says R right there, and on this side it says L for left and right, and on this head strap it says left and right as well. So you're gonna line those sides up and you're gonna click this into place. Just like so. Done. And that's the entire assembly of this head strap. Now, the major difference between these two head straps is simply this. The K4 Boost, you're going to ratchet down onto your head and make this really tight on the back of your head, and you can adjust this strap across the top of your head to help relieve some of the pressure. However, the Halo strap, sort of the same kind of mechanic. There's a wheel in the back where you ratchet this to tighten it. There's also a wheel in the front. The wheel in the front is for this front forehead padding. So you get some of the weight of the headset itself taken off of the front of your face, because it can kind of be front heavy, right? And you're going to place this padding at the top of your forehead, like kind of where your hairline is. And so it's going to help distribute the weight off of this onto more of your head. And actually you can set this up in such a way where the part that would normally get really tight around your eyes doesn't get tight at all. In fact, you can leave space in between your face and this visor so that you can get some airflow and maybe not sweat so bad or fog up your lenses. And I do prefer to use the H4 Boost on my 3S because it is just wider than the 3 by a pretty significant amount, and it does make it a little more front heavy in my opinion than the 3 is. But that's pretty much where the differences end. Both of these are extremely comfortable. I would just say I prefer the K4 Boost for the 3 and the H4 Boost for the 3S. And so that's how I have mine set up. But how do you install these? I'll show you real quick. It is so simple. Whether you have the original strap on here or not, you're going to have to remove these side pieces, and you just kind of lift up right there on the edge, and you can remove those like that. And then you pull out this strap that's looped through here, kind of give it a wiggle, and there it's out. And if you're looking at the real instructions for this, it's going to say you need to remove this entire visor part. And I have done it that way. I find that that way makes me a lot more nervous because I'm afraid I'm going to break this part. And I've also found that it is actually not necessary, because if you take your strap here and you stick it underneath that bar and you just kind of wiggle back and forth, it will come out around the other side. You grab it and pull. No need to remove the visor at all. It's super simple. And then I like to take these from the front, line up my USB-C here, and then press it over the back until you hear that snap. And the same thing on this side over the headphone jack. Press it till you hear that snap. And now your new K4 boost is installed. The H4 boost is slightly different. You still have to remove these side panels, but thankfully with the H4 boost, it does have a little tab right here on the edge that you can pull up on both sides. That makes removing this very simple. The part that's different here is right here on that bar that you had to loop that thing through. It actually has a piece here that's snapped onto it. There we go. You can see that right here. It's a little piece that snaps onto that bar. You're going to do that first. Well, it's already snapped. I didn't even hear it click, but it's on there. And then we'll put it on these sides. Make sure that they snap into place securely. You can look around the edges and make sure there's no gaps. And now your H4 boost is installed. Get that nice and tight. And again, alleviate the weight of this 3S from the front of your head. It just makes for such a more comfortable gaming experience. Now that I have these installed, I do want to be fair and I want to tell you a couple of little things that I wish were improved on these devices. Not deal breakers, but I think they could be better in two ways. One is the hinge here, I think could be a little tighter, especially on the K4 boost. It's just a little bit loose to me. And I also wish it turned up to like a 90-degree angle so that you could really lift this up to the top of your head and let it sit on the top of your head if you needed to take it off for a moment, and then pull it back down over your eyes. But with it stopping there at, I don't know what that is, maybe a 45-degree angle or something, maybe 50 degrees, it doesn't quite sit up high enough. You really end up having to take this off and setting it down somewhere and then putting it back on. Again, because you can adjust this so quickly, it's not that big of a deal, but I would like to see that improved. And then the other thing, especially on this model, is that even if this is all the way extended, as large as it can possibly go, and you plug this in, you can see there's still a fair amount of excess cable here. And I don't know anyone's head that is this big. So the more that you strap, like my head's probably about right there, and you end up with this much excess wire that's just kind of out here. And when you're playing VR and your hands are like going up and you know you're fighting somebody or whatever, I have hit this a couple of times and caught my hand on it. And so I wish there was a way to improve that. Something that I have tried is kind of feeding it through here and doing it this way just to get it out of the way. And I think that that works fairly well, but there's no official way to do that. There's nothing housing this cable. It's just kind of out there. And then the very last thing that I'll say that they could improve, and again, I'm being really nitpicky here, I do wish that this cable was detachable. If the cable were to ever go bad, which mine haven't, and again, I've been using it for months, you would be stuck and you would have to get a totally new head strap. That's just some food for thought. KIWI Design, if you're watching this, I don't even know. But next time, it would be really cool if you could replace the cable with a new USB-C cable. Ultimately, I have to say, as a guy who has used multiple different types of straps on their Quest 3, these are the best two that I have found yet. And so I want to say thank you to KIWI Design for sending these over for me to review today. But I also want you to know that they're not seeing this review beforehand and no money exchanged hands. However, they did request that I share with you that they have a sale going on right now, and so I have links in the description below for that. But with all that said, if you found this review helpful, please like and subscribe. Stay kind and encouraging out there, and I'll catch you on the flippity flip.